Hi folks, welcome back to my kitchen. Great to have you here again. Today we're embarking on a bit of a baking project. Now we're going to make something that I've wanted to make for a long time and I've never actually got round to doing it. So finally, in our lockdown, I have got the time to apply myself to it. We're going to be making Portuguese Pastel de Nata. So they're the little custard tarts that you can often enjoy with your morning coffee. They're not massive, 2 or 3 bites, and they really hit the spot. And it's basically a rough pastry made in these little tart cases that I have ordered in especially for making them, because they are particularly deep. They are a certain shape that really lend themselves to your pastel de nata. So do get hold of some of those. So they're little rough pastry cases in there with a beautiful cinnamon infused custard set, and they're baked in a very hot oven and very, very delicious. So as ever, if you would like to make this at home, all the recipes will be sent out in our bird feed newsletter, and if you'd like to sign up for that, do go to the link in the bio and you'll receive the newsletter in your inbox with all these recipes every single Saturday. So I do hope you can enjoy making these at home as well. So we're going to start off with making a rough pastry. Now this is a pastry, so it hasn't got a leavening agent, and it is simply flour, which we have here, 150 grams of flour, and I'm just looking, and 90 grams of water, and as ever, a little pinch of salt. So I'm going to pop that in. Now, the thing with this pastry is that it does need to rest, and then it does need to chill overnight. So do allow yourself plenty of time for making these, plenty of time to make the pastry, for it to chill overnight, and then to finish off the following day when you then fill your pastry cases. So I've put bit of water in, a bit of salt in here. This is self-raising flour. You can make it with plain. I've used self-raising because it does lend itself for a flakier pastry, and it's what I had in the cupboard, so that'll do the trick. And I'm just mixing in the water as I go, using my hand, just the fingertips, bringing it round into a rough dough and pouring in the water a little bit at the time, because what we're aiming for is a tacky, not sticky, but a tacky dough. So just gauge the water as it goes in. You may need to use all of it, you may even need to add a little bit more, but it's a tacky dough, just like that. And so eventually, if you can see, it starts to really bring itself together around your bowl. And then just pop it out onto your work surface, grab your trusty dough scraper. I use this just for just about everything. This also is something that's well worth investing in, and I say investing in, they cost like £1, £2, but they're brilliant. You'll use them for everything. And then just using the heel of my hand, I'm just working the dough, the pastry, just to bring it together so that it is a nice smooth dough. You don't want to overwork it because we don't want it to be hard and leathery by overworking the gluten strands, but you just want it enough so that it's a bit smoother. And then this you're going to put back into the bowl, cover it over and put it in the fridge for about half an hour. And this is just going to allow the gluten strands to relax, and also it'll be a bit easier to work with. It won't keep springing back when you roll it. Yeah, first handers come in, give them a wave. So that's going into the fridge. So in time-honoured tradition, I've got one that I prepared earlier. Here it is. So this is one that I've had in the fridge. It's chilled down a lot, and it's also had a chance to relax, so that, like I say, it's not going to keep springing back as we go. So what I'm going to do with this, you'll find that it's quite tacky, and so we'll be able to roll it out. I am going to put a little bit of flour, but you don't want to put too much flour on your worktop. Probably see my kids in the background there. There they are, just walking through. And I'm going to roll this out into a rectangle shape, so that we can start folding in the butter. So if you've ever made croissant or you've ever made puff pastry, kind of the classic way, you'll be familiar with this process of rolling out your dough, your pastry, folding in the butter and then rolling it back over on itself. And we do this 3 times because in effect we're creating layers of butter. And that then makes the layers of flakiness, which are lovely. So I've got my little rectangle there. I'm going to flatten out my butter. Now this is a nice little trick I learned from when I made a lot of croissants. Put your chunk of butter into a plastic bag and then just roll it out using your rolling pin. Another daughter just floating by, lovely. Using your rolling pin just to flatten it out, and you're aiming for it to be roughly the same size as your pastry. So it's a bit knobbly, that's fine. And then we can just work with that. I'm going to cut it open. And again, I'm using cold butter. That's always important. Cold ingredients when you're making this kind of layered pastry. Because then it just is a lot easier to work with, less sticky, doesn't run everywhere, so that's all good. Okay, so I've got my butter prepared there, and I'm going to think of that in 3 pieces. So just to roughly mark out, there we go. I'm just roughly marking out, there goes my other daughter, a third, and I'm going to roll this into the pastry here. Okay, so this is why actually seeing this on a video like we're doing today is good, because often you can read these instructions and think, what's going on there? But actually to see it really, really helps. So I've put a third of the butter onto half of my pastry, if you can see this, and then I'm just folding it over on itself. Just give my other daughter a wave, it's a sunny day. And then seal around the edges. So we've got half the size now, a little bit more flour, make sure it doesn't stick. And then we're going to, just a tiny little bit, keep light with the flour because you don't want it scooting around. And then we're going to press it out from the centre, going up, going to the side, to the same shape and size it was before. Okay, and I'm just using all of my pin so that it really does flatten out. If you're a perfectionist, you kind of keeping it tidy. I think often when you're a baker you are. It's one of those things where you like nice tidy edges, but it does help because it means that you're getting a nice even distribution of the batter. So I'm going to put in my second third, and we're going to do exactly the same thing again. Just lay it across the bottom, fold over and seal. Tiny little bit of flour, not too much. Remember, keep a nice light hand with that. And then press out, press down, okay? And keep your pastry moving by flipping it over. And then we're going to do the same thing to get it back to that same size. And we're layering, making those beautiful layers of butter. And that is the secret to the flakiness, okay? Now stand by your beds, folks, because this next bit is going to be a bit different. So we're getting our nice even rectangle, like that. Bring it round. Gorgeous. Okay, tidy up our edges. Trusty dough scraper. Lovely. I'm going to put in our last third of butter. Okay. If it breaks up, that's fine. You can kind of spread it around. And this time you're going to spread it all over. So not just on a half, but all over. And remember, the instructions will all be in the recipe sheet that I send out to you, so don't worry too much. It's just more to get a feel for it, watching the video, just to think, oh right, that's what you mean. And I'm using my dough scraper. You can use a blunt knife to do this, or the back of a spoon, that would be quite good. To just spread the butter over as you're working, because we want to cover all of the dough here, all of the pastry, with the butter, like a big open sandwich. There we are. Okay, brilliant. Now this time we're going to roll it up. It's a bit like you're making a Swiss roll, starting from the short end. Okay, so we're going to just roll it over. In fact, I'm going to do it long way so you can see. And just keep working it with your hands. That's it, keep it tidy, keep all the edges even. I'm kind of rolling and tucking as I go. Okay. Lovely, look at that. So it all comes together into a nice, neat roll. And then you kind of seal it just by dragging it in towards you. Okay, brilliant. And so now you've got a roll of pastry like that. That's good to go. And so that we're going to simply put into a plastic food bag. This prevents it from drying out. And then this is what you want to put into the fridge overnight to really let it chill down and set, ready for tomorrow, where we'll then go on to bake the tarts. So that goes into the fridge, ready for the next stage. Now, in time-honoured fashion, I've got some that I prepared earlier. So take yourself forward in time tomorrow. So this is where we're going to actually be preparing the tart cases, and we're going to be filling them, and we're going to be baking them off. Hooray! So this is the pastry I have here. This is from a batch I made yesterday, so it's been chilled down overnight. It's in the little log. It's in a nice even roll, which you can see here, and this is where we're going to fill our tart cases. So first of all, I'm just going to take off the edges because there'll be not so much butter in the little ends, so we can just discard those. And then each roll, we're going to get 12 portions out of this. So I actually divided my dough up into 2 last night, so from this I'm going to get 6 portions. So I'm just going to have a look at it and then mark it out, so into 6 equal pieces, like that, cut it through, and then I'm going to show you this technique. This is unlike anything I've ever done before with pastry, which is why I was so excited to discover how to do these. So with my very specially ordered Pastel de Nata tart cases, you can see they're quite deep. They're deeper than like the patty pans that I've got, so they are a bit different for a reason. I've buttered and floured these because I'm taking a belt and braces approach to make sure we can get them out when they're cooked. And then into these, we're going to take our disc of dough, sunny side up, if you can see, so we've got all that swirl of butter, and we're just going to press that in to the case. Can you see? We're just pressing it in using our fingers and just moulding it into the case. This is actually a really lovely thing to do. So just as you work through all your cases, and you just bring it up to the edges like that. Lovely. Press it down. And then use the blunt side of a knife just for a nice kind of pro finish. Just get rid of it's jumping around. Just kind of even up those edges there. That's with the blunt side of the knife. Fabulous. Okay. And then continue with 12 of these. Pop them into the fridge. Chill it down for about 10 minutes. And that's going to give you time just to get your filling ready. Now the filling is basically an egg custard with a sugar syrup mix that's got cinnamon in it. So I'll show you, it's quite straightforward to do. I've just got it on the hob, so I'm just going to bring that over and put it on the deck. So in here I've got a mix of milk and flour. You put it over heat to cook out the flour and it starts to thicken up. You can see that's really quite thick already. And into there you put in 4 egg yolks, okay? Now you're going to cook this off to cook off the flour for about 2 to 5 minutes till it starts to go thick. Let it cool down for about 10 minutes and then add in your egg yolks. Slowly as you go, whisking them in. Put in a little pinch of salt as well, just to give it some flavour, some vanilla essence, that's always good. You can already see this lovely yellow hue starting to take shape. So that's going in there. And then I'm also going to put in my vanilla sugar syrup. So a quantity of sugar, half a quantity of water, and plenty of cinnamon for flavour. Bring it up to boil, cool it down. Again, all the directions are in the sheet. So this is our custard that's going to fill our tarts. Okay, so how good is that? Right, so we can go back to the fridge, retrieve your custard tarts, your tart cases that have been chilling down 10 minutes in, and we're going to fill these up, and I'm going to fill them up to about 1/2 centimetre short of the rim. Oh, I'm concentrating here. The custard just smells delicious. And you want your oven heated up super hot, okay? So take it up to 200. You want these really kind of blistering in the oven. They're going to bake really quick in about 10 minutes time. I'm just putting them straight into the Alga in the hot oven. In your fan oven, you're looking at about 200 degrees. You see recipes that say take it up to max. I would say take it up to 200. That is hot for baking. So I'm filling these up pretty high. Gorgeous. And then I'm going to get them in the oven. We're going to bake them off for 10 to 12 minutes until it starts to blister on the top. and then they'll be just delicious to enjoy. So thank you for watching. Have a bit of fun, get some of these ordered in so you can really have a go at them and enjoy making your very own pastel de nata at home.